Hello everyone, welcome back to some more the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I was about to say Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney for a second there. Anyways, last time we started the game and got into everything so far. So, the case so far is that our client, which is ourselves, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, is accused and on trial for the murder of John H. Wilson, a visiting student from the same university. And it is from there that the prosecutor, Taketsuki Ouchi, Prosecutor Ouchi, in trial, Prosecutor Ouchi called in a few witnesses, these guys here, and they gave testimony, and we are going to cross-examine them, exposing the lies, as Kazuma said. So, yeah, let's just do this. Oh, one more thing I do have to note, though, is that I listen to my voices, and I don't know why, but they literally all sound like me. Like, I don't exactly know what to do about that, but whatever. I'll try and differ the voices enough, but I can't promise anything. I'm not really good at doing voices for people. Anyways, let's get into this. How? Oh wait, let's go back. Let's see. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means that what that soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it, and the key to doing that is evidence. Right. Evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Now let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. Alright then. It's all or nothing. Let's do this. Alright, so here's how cross-examinations work. Essentially, we look through, how we do things here is we look through each person's statement. And it is from there, when we see one that we want a little bit more information on. Okay, yeah. And when we see one that we want a little bit more information on, we can just click the press button.
Yes!
So this black uniformed university cadet, you're saying that was... I've had just about enough of your sauce, cadet. Who else do you see around here in a black uniform, hmm? Well, there's someone standing right next to me who fits the description well, but... It was you, you little weasel. You unloaded the firearm on that man. From behind his back, and you call yourself a citizen of the great empire of Nippon. You disgust me. Okay, why hasn't anyone memed that face yet? What is it to Ryunosuke? I'm not quite sure. It's something that sergeant just said, but I can't put my finger on it. Something's playing on my mind. In that case, check back over the details of the evidence you've gathered in the court record. And if you find an inconsistency there with what the witness said, then don't hold back. Present the evidence to the court, thrust it in the witness's face, and make him choke on it. So, let's do... Okay, never mind. I guess I could show this too. If you ever need a hint, just go past all the testimony of everything, and yeah. Lies lurking, so sometimes they're helpful, other times they're not. So yeah, anyways. I believe I found this inconsistency last time. Yeah, I did. Okay, great. I remember correctly. This is just tutorial that I kind of explained. Present your evidence with X and rip the witness apart. Yeah. If you assert a contradiction that has no basis, you'll be given a penalty. And I believe it's what? It's 5 penalties and you're out? Guilty verdict. Yeah, you lose, essentially. But fortunately for us, we can save at literally any time. So, yeah. Save scumming. Anyways. Proves the court record. Find an inconsistency, eh? Fortunately for us, we have that. Inconsistency already. Good luck, partner. Alright, so we already know what we're looking for here. First off is the fact that he said the black uniformed varsity cadet fired an English civilian from the back, which is odd because if you look at the post-mortem report, the bullet did not pass through the body, and if we look at the photograph, that is clearly a bullet wound from the front. So,
yes.
oh, what are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination? Thrusting some photographic print in my mustache. Inconsistency, sir. I mean, yes. There's a clear inconsistency here.
What nonsense! What can this print possibly tell us that we don't already know?
Well, obviously, that's, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth.
I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom.
Ugh, this is so frustrating. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. I say, Vasily. Kazuma, what?
What are you talking about?
It's apparent from a single glance at the photographic print presented by the defense that there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement.
What?
Sergeant Yesanosa. Yes, sir. What, sir? The statement you just made was this. That black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. And I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir.
Yes!
But no, that just can't be. And why not, cadet? Because... Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? Oh, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, just gonna push your kid down like that behind. What was that? Something just popped up from behind his the back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious Le Carnival steak, sir.
What?
The last testimony the court has heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Yesanosa, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all.
That's absurd.
I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Yeah? Just gonna go ahead and roast the prosecutor like that, Asogi? There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial, just from that one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there, he was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back.
Yes!
But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it off the floor. Well, yeah, why did you pick up going off the floor again? I think I said this last time, but like, if you see a gun on the floor, what would possess you to go pick it up? If anything, I would just like keep it down or something like that. Like, or not keep keep it laying there or something. And you, old man, you didn't see when the moment the victim was shot either.
Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor.
Too busy on the floor? Sorry, but what were you doing?
Hunting for treasure.
Treasure?
Indeed, the Huayra Koban, my prized coin. On each occasion when I visit that restaurant, it is my habitude to place in my bosom pocket a particular trinket of interest from my shop, Razute.
In the hope of meeting a rich diner who would like to buy it from you.
On the day under scrutiny, it was to the military man that I proffered my Hoei treasure.
Proffered?
Proffered my Hoei treasure. Believing that he would purchase such a rare find, I did not. But I was presented with little alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, it was no more. It simply vanished.
The Koban vanished?
Hunting around under the table I was, in case mayhap it had fallen there. And then it happened.
You heard the gunshot, you mean?
Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoei treasure. Nothing could distract me.
Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end?
No.
I see.
That lamentable day, the precious Hoei Koban was lost to me. No doubt, some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself.
Yeah, why are you looking away?
As I am sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon.
Nevertheless, the witness testimony the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British, it would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Ouchie?
Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make.
Explain.
Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could have possibly committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he?
Ugh.
Very well. The court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear?
As clear as Kiriko glass, Your Excellency.
Yes, sir. At once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir. I think a southern accent's better for him. Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think. Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name, Idol. It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny. Okay, that's nice wordplay. Idol. Tension! Your father's about to quail the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy. Witness testimony. All right. What are you going to say this time? Or even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it is almost the same thing.
Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man he was, that young lad in black. That I much myself did see.
Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present.
Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself.
Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out. These testimonies are certainly okay then. Yeah, you shouldn't interrupt the judge. Wasn't alone at all. But how exactly can we prove that? I mean, our evidence doesn't exactly show much. I mean, there's the business card showing that, but like, no, doesn't show that anything was erased either, huh? Okay. Is there anything in the picture that might show it? There's another cup here. Why would a man drinking alone have 2 cups? Whatever. We can't exactly prove that for now, so. But there was a woman. There was a young woman at his table. You must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her.
If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies.
Ugh.
It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact.
Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime, counsel?
Indeed, of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident.
Immediately after? Hold up, this is wrong. I just saw the thing. His steak was more full. Yeah. His steak was more full. There wasn't that big of a chunk taken out of it. Someone switched out a steak or something. Or was his body just covering it? Huh.
As can plainly be seen, there was only one place set.
Certainly, based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. Ugh. This doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. Alright. I don't understand. What's going on here? It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman. That means everyone's lying? The waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true. I saw her. I swear that I saw a woman with him. It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to the Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt.
These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Tagetsuki Auchi, will have contributed to the amenity of these two great empires is an honor.
How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule.
Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It is not over yet.
What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is our chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma.
The defense is entitled
to cross-examine the witnesses, but make it quick, understood?
Tisk, rules can be so unbending at times.
Ugh. Alright, let's review that testimony again. Precise moment found which charge, it's almost the same thing. He was that young man in black, that much myself I did see. A visual search at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel. No one could have dispatched. Okay, so this is nice. So this is an example of the second type of thing we'll be encountering, where there will be witness testimonies that don't have any obvious contradictions. And it is in this instance that we just have to kind of press on well, sometimes it's everything, but usually it's certain statements, but sometimes it's every statement. So I guess let's just pick one and go from there. It's almost the same thing. Yes. No, it wasn't. It's not the same thing at all. For a start, I didn't fire that gun. We have a difference of opinion on that. The opinion of a uniformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet, one of which can't freaking speak. I don't think so.
Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked.
You did? Did you?
Did you see it? Did you see me blink?
How could I?
And yet, it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it.
Have what? Tension! The sound of the firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, I saw you waiting for the gun at the Englishman.
I think that says it all, don't you?
Oh, that makes sense.
And let us not forget the antique to witness the accused in the most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, Kurakuta-san?
Huh. Dining all by himself. I think this has to be the lie, but... Hold up. You're telling me that you get this huge glass of champagne or whatever, and that's all for one, well... I mean, it shows there's like another cup or something here. Male British. Fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma, no exit wound. Let's over then. Oh, let's not save before I forget. C to C. Yes. I guess we'll just press on everything. Yes, it may be true I was holding the gun at that point in time. But I've told you already, that's only because I picked it up off the floor.
Well, obviously, as the culprit, that's the only way you could explain it away.
I just finished drinking my coffee, and I was about to leave the restaurant when... I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And at that exact moment... A gunshot rang in my ears.
Full of events beyond our control, life is.
Sorry? What do you mean?
In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas conversely, I failed to pick up the Kaban from the floor, and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains, myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner.
We were the only personnel present. Yes! Okay. You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there. Yep.
As you have been at pains to point out time and time again, I feel I am growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have even caught a glimpse of this woman.
If only there had been more people dining there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened, the quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know. Of course, the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect. Certainly. 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone.
Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason.
There was?
This was found in the victim's jacket pocket.
What is that, Counsel?
It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant.
Hada Clinic. Yeah, Hada Clinic? Okay, you'll get that reference later. Yes, there would appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th of November, noon to past 1 p.m. The very day of the incident.
So, the victim went for a late lunch in his appointment. Following his appointment, the explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case.
I wonder, what do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, it is hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask? Yes, actually, we do. Yes! If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency.
On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern.
Objection!
Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues.
I beg your pardon?
You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well. The court will grant the defense's request.
Tisk. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It is a most disturbing trend.
Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. All right. What we really need right now is new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you.
You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like. But it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for their accused, Korakuta-san.
And here's the statement itself. Dining all by himself. Let's check that new piece of evidence we got, the medical report card, to find... What the... I can't click it? What the... Do I have to, like, trigger a hint first or something? Let me see that medical report. Oh, we had to trigger this. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence, so perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. How exactly? Okay, yeah. So we can now use the essentially we can examine evidence as before. Oh, it's this, yeah. So I'm just gonna skip through all this because I'm gonna show you guys instead of just letting it. But yeah, we can manipulate the evidence on a 3D axis essentially, and rotate it to click it and click on it from all angles if need be. And the crosshair will change once we find something we can investigate further on. Alright, let's look at this report card and see what happens. Skip all this tutorial stuff and... Ooh, medical report card required for every visit. Date doesn't really matter, but what we do know is... Dentist. He went to a dentist, I see. A long-term treatment. A family doctor. Oh, tasting medicine, yeah. When you're at your lowest ebb. That is true, actually. Bitter medicine, indeed, yep. Sorry, I'm just reading it. But yeah, let's look inside. It says Hada Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics, almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I'd ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. I'll never forget it. Never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have had only one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. Okay. Let's open this bad... Okay. Oh, we gotta click this to open it up. Okay, that makes sense. Ooh, stamped dates, I see. Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. Ah, and there's an entry for the date the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia, although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Ah, there's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure, until anesthetic effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. Yes, so, when we examine certain bits of evidence in detail and find out something new, their description changes. And it is that change we can use to prove contradictions. So, let's use that new information to disprove what Kurakuta-san said. He was dining all by himself. Well, that couldn't be possible, because the medical report card says that he was all alone.
Yes.
Well, I think,
About what are you withering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer.
I wish I could, but first and foremost here I'm the accused.
Ryunosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it.
Thanks, Kazuma.
I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking.
Alright, and thanks for the advice.
Kurakuta-san,
This is a medical report belonging to card belonging to the victim.
Ah, I see. And I don't see. What of it, boy?
Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up.
Dear me, have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur?
Sorry, what?
You are not to interrupt court proceeding with your amateurish drivel.
But
let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant.
But that's, remember, Renoski, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point.
Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. Surely there's no need to prolong this trial any further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil who could possibly have perpetrated the crime.
Oh, he finally slammed the desk. Yo. Alright. This medical report card has nothing to do with the case? Do you really believe that?
What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant?
Perhaps because Hada Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic.
A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me?
Perhaps if I had told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted?
What's this now?
And furthermore, if I told you that as a result, the victim had been forbidden from eating. So he literally could not have had that food.
Just what are you trying to say, cadet? He had orders not to eat, so what?
It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off.
What? No, that can't.
Korkutasad.
What, boy? What?
As you have just heard, when he was killed sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all.
No.
Additionally, there's more. You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner. See, this is what I like. Instead of showing him just being cool out the bat, we just see him stumble a bit and then slowly get into his role.
But what is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table.
Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic?
How? How dare you?
I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. So having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who in fact was eating the pictured beef steak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel? Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? All right. The answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been... Well, it couldn't be the victim himself, and it certainly couldn't be me, and it couldn't be the two witnesses because they were in the next table over. It has to be an as yet unknown third party. Obviously, it could have only been someone else who was sitting at the prosecutor's table. Oh, wait, what? Wait, hold up, what? What? Oh, professor, oh. I was about to say, like, prosecutor's table? Am I dyslexic? Like, oh.
You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person.
Yes!
There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything, yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push to a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial, relentlessly. Kazuma.
Are you insane? You would take on the government?
Don't worry, Counsel. I have no issue with you.
What do you mean?
I have issue with them. Those two witnesses in the stand. What? What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury. Perjury? And since this is a murder trial, and we're back. Okay, there was an interruption there. And since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing.
Complicit in murder?
Oh yeah, you're scaring them into telling the truth, huh? Negative. There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders.
That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they, told us.
Sorry, what was that you just said?
Oh.
What? What did you just say, Korakuta-san?
No.
You were just following orders?
Now hold on, lad. I was,
Say you never saw the gentlewoman. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What? Oh, that's why this is an international incident. It's because there's two people from overseas got caught up into it. Okay, wow.
What? What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements? Is this true, you pair?
Just one simple slip of the tongue. So they were ordered to give false testimony? Order. Counsel, explain what is going on here. Sorry, something came up. Okay, there it is. Sorry. It's painfully clear now. You try to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth.
Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this.
Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut?
Well,
That's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator for this murder? Are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Ryunosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Ouchi had any idea about it. And this is where something special comes into play. See, I think ever since we were able to examine that medical report card, we were also able to examine the waiter's business card. And if we flip this bad boy over, we find that Satoru Hosonaga is actually a police inspector. Someone with a lot of influence that would be able to, for example, force witnesses to perjury, or to perjurize their statements, to lie. Look, do you see it says the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga. Well, yes, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That is sort of the point. It's not the name that is unexpected, it's his job title. His job? Oh! Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector? What on earth? I have no idea. But let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence if they're wielding it somehow here. Clever of the game to do that behind your back. Like, not even pointing out for you or anything. They just... What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could have only been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make these witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly... Remember how we made progress before? Before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh, yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you that the penalty will be severe.
But please, wait, Your Excellency. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god, I knew nothing.
And what does the defense have to say about all this? Well, Your Excellency. Oh, no time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes to my head. Which has to be, obviously... It has to be Inspector Hosonaga. Because he's the only person with connections to the police.
Yes!
Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san, the waiter who took the stand earlier.
Objection!
Poppycock! What possible reason would the waiter have had to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even a head waiter could not have had such a level of influence.
For once, I would agree with you. If, that is, the man truly were a waiter.
What? If he truly were...
Come on, Ryunosuke. It's time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity, as proven by this evidence.
Yes!
The business card, obviously. The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question. I agree it shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure if we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon? Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Hosonaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession, his true profession. The waiter's profession? But that's surely... Good gracious! That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau.
What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before?
The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power. Absolute power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you've seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Yeah, who was that? Oh, it's the inspector himself. And Inspector Hosonaga. What voice did I use for him? I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. That's why he tensed up, or seized up, once he said he'd add it to the court record. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself get distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake.
So you mean to say you really are a detective?
But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Ah, of course. Your salary must be I was working undercover. Undercover? Yes. There have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? Should I give him a more, British voice or something? No, we'll save that for later, but still. That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can say categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would have also been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable. As I suspected. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an English woman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the Bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say Remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence was at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. Huh? The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect. Well, without an irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. They did it to protect her to protect everyone from an international incident from occurring. I see. But it's not right. They were literally going to sacrifice Ryunosuke to keep international treaties afloat. Yeah? Well, this seems as good a time as any to pause. Alright, so, let's save our game. Next time, we're going to continue on. And... yeah, this case is getting to be a huge haywire thing already. Alright, number 5 is what I have to remember. Alright. That being said, I will see you all next time.